Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the CDL podcast channel. In this episode today, we've got CDL Wordle, we've got new updated power rankings, and we've got our picks for the major or minor two brackets. Sorry. If you guys enjoy this one, be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube. If you're on the audio platforms, drop a follow, drop a 5-star review. Going to be a lot of debating and talking in this one, but we're going to start it out with the CDL Wordle as is a new tradition. And Brock, who are we going with first? We got what, 4 last week, trying to beat that record.
Yep. Let's see. Who shall we go with today? Um, I think we should go with attached to start out with.
So that's a solid. It's actually a really good starting guess because he's got the one ring. He's got a decent amount of wins. He's got a decent amount of teams played for. Okay,
Okay.
so this guy has no rings, less than 7 wins, younger than attached. He's from the U.S. He's played for Minnesota and NYSL. So this is actually like we have a. I mean, a lot of people play for Minnesota and NYSL, but he's a
Yeah.
United States player. I'm trying to think specifically of players that have played for both right away. Accuracy has played for
Yes.
both, but I don't he he was teammates with Attach at one point, so on NYSL, so it can't be him. He might actually be
Asim
older
has
too.
Asim played with for both?
Asim has, but Asim also played for Vegas Legion last year, so I don't think he would count.
Oh yeah.
But also Asim is Canadian, isn't he?
Yeah, that's right. I forgot.
Um, boy, this is so many potential players, but they weren't ever teammates with Attach, and he's had a decent amount of teammates, so that does help. But Minnesota and NYSL, who
Jeez.
trying to think of other players that have played for both. So Accuracy did. Priesta, but he has a ring, so it can't be him.
Kind of tough. Kind of.
Yeah.
Who is
Who
this
else was like
player?
who's like an OG player? Like, I don't know. Since Priesta played for both, I know it's not Priesta, but let's guess him because like maybe he was a teammate and that'll help.
So should we try accuracy or the other team though?
They teamed. Priesta and Attach also teamed on Minnesota though. So it literally can't be Priesta. It's not possible. But like I think Priesta, if he was teammates with Priesta, that might help us like narrow it down. Are you good with that? Because I can't think of anybody off the top of my head.
Yep. Priest is good for me.
I forgot Priest. Okay,
Oh,
so he was teammates with Priesta. That helps.
I'm Minnesota and
I don't know
YSL.
if he was teammates on both of them. I think it might just be at one point he was teammates with them. I don't know exactly
Okay.
how that works. But so he's younger than Priesta though. Obviously Priesta has 8 wins, so guy obviously we know has 0 rings, but he is US like we know and he was teammates with Priesta. We don't know what team though. I don't think. Um
Yeah.
but I'm assuming like
He's
so
young.
and it's obviously not any of his world championship teammates. So, well, actually, it has to be his teammate. Now that we think about it, it has to be his teammate on Minnesota because his only teammates when he was on NYSL for 1 year were his world championship teammates. So it can't be any of them because they all have a ring.
Yeah.
So it has to be one of Priest's teammates on Minnesota. Who was on those teams? They had Standy. Could be Standy. But he played for Vegas Legion too, didn't he?
Yeah.
Or was he technically on Paris? Or because I think they count those as different here. Could so Priest's
Should
teammates on
it could
Rocker
be
though.
Standy.
He had Standy and he had there was accuracy there for a little bit. They
It's not
had
Major Maniac, right?
let's see, Major Maniac was on Boston for a little bit last year, right? So I
Yeah.
let's guess Standy. Maybe but
Let's
Standy
do
was
it.
teammates with Attach, so that's not even that doesn't work.
Um,
Dude, who would
Awakening? I don't think Awakening was on New York though.
dude, who else was on that team? I'm gonna say
Eh,
Standy, but Standy doesn't work because he was teammates with Attach, so I don't know why I would even guess it. Who else was on that damn team? That
was in
Cold
a
War Rocker team.
Cold War.
They went into Vanguard too, and they didn't make a change. But they had accuracy, but they dropped him. It was Attach, Major Maniac, Standy, and
Was it Bants? No, not Bants.
But yeah, but in, US. It was
Yeah.
Attach, Major Maniac, Standy, Accuracy was in the point team at one point. Let's say Standy, I don't know, but he was teammates with Attach, so it doesn't work. Or let's try Major Maniac, even though he played for Boston. I don't know. I'm lost. So he has less wins than Major. He wasn't teammates with Major though. So we got to be missing a teammate Priest that had on Minnesota, right? God, this is taking a while.
Gotta
We're
be.
screwed up here.
It's not classic, I don't believe.
No, it has
He's
to be a
older.
teammate of his on Minnesota, but he wasn't teammates with Major Maniac. So is it actually Lamar and we're just, like, messing up? But Lamar's not that young.
Yeah, he's not.
Dude, there has to be somebody we're forgetting, or maybe it's, like, a coach from that team.
Is it a coach?
But he's so young. Dude, who else was on that team in Cold War?
Looney?
Yeah, he's
Didn't he get dropped though?
no, he was I don't think he played on the team either. Dude, I literally can't think of who this was. He wasn't teammates with Major Maniac, Attached Priesta, or just Priesta he was.
Yeah.
Could it be like a sub on NYSL? Like from like who was it? Wasn't Wardy their sub, but I don't think he was ever on Minnesota as a sub or anything. It's like
Man.
technically it could be like Wardy if he was ever a sub.
Mhm.
In the US, never mind. Dude, I'm lost. I guess let's just guess Standy in case. But
Dandy.
dude, he's the same
20
age as he's
Oh my g
23, 1 win, 0 rings, Minnesota, United States, wasn't teammates with Standy.
Who is this guy?
Dude, I am lost. He has 1 win?
He got it on the Minnesota when they came back, right?
Well, he played for NYSL too, though. Yeah, but he can't he has to be it has to almost but he wasn't teammates with Standy.
Yeah.
So Stan and so he wasn't like the sub or the coach or anything on that team unless they don't like list those guys as teammates. So he had to have gotten his 1 win. Teammates with Priest. I was thinking Mac for a second, but he's teammates with Attach currently. But he didn't play for Minnesota either, dude. I actually we might actually have to give this up because I don't want to take forever on the podcast. I'm sure we could think of it.
Yeah. Let's go with should we guys ace him? No, it's not ace him.
Yeah, I mean, we could see if he was teammates with him because we're just like at this point we're just like lost. He was teammates with Asim. He also played for London. That helps.
Paul? No, not Paul. Is that
Wait, Paul.
Paul?
Wait,
Is that
it's
Paul?
Paul. Paul.
Paul X?
When was he teammates with Priest though? Am I missing something? Yeah, it was. He good call. When I dude, am I tripping? When was he teammates with Priesta? Am I just forgetting this?
Had have been.
Was he
Was
their
it It
sub?
wasn't Vanguard. Paul
Priesta,
wasn't.
I don't remember. I don't know. Well, I'll have to think about that because yeah, that is so weird because yeah, Paul has the 1 win that came in that like pro am and
Oh yeah.
Vanguard with like the one with no fans and
Mhm.
NYSL. But I don't know why I couldn't think of Paul. That's so weird. Huh. Honestly, we did better than I thought we were gonna do. Once we were going through that, I thought it was gonna be really rough.
We got Paul X. I definitely don't would not have thought about that guy right now.
Yeah, definitely not the guy I was thinking of.
Only 23. Been playing for a while. It seems like too.
I know. Actually, I guess he is pretty young. That makes sense to me. But I just forgot. I don't remember him teaming with Priesta, and I was just thinking it was like one of the teammates on that rocker team. But then since he wasn't teammates with Attach, it was throwing me off.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm definitely
Brock, we
gonna.
got power rankings. What?
I said I'm definitely gonna have to go look at when Priest and Paul X teamed together.
Dude, it's gonna be obvious, and we're gonna see it, and we're gonna be like, oh yeah, like I remember
Yeah.
that. But
Yeah.
like, I have so many teams that I remember in my head that like that one is just slipping me for some reason. But we're gonna do power rankings. You guys can see it on the screen if you're watching in the video form. Otherwise, if you're on audio platforms, you can obviously hear us go through it. This year we've done power rankings where we've put them on a tier list. This time I think we're just gonna do straight up 1 through 12 because the tier list thing is a little weird. And then it like if somebody is really close, but we like decide to separate them by tier, it makes them seem further away. So I just think 1 to 12 is just the easiest way to do it. And Brock, let's start out with number 12. Put them on there. I mean, it's the
The
Vegas Falcons.
Falcons.
Like, I mean, not even like a debate
0
here.
19 at Hardpoint.
Yeah, they are awful to say the least. This past weekend they fell to Cloud9 3-0 and they fell to Minnesota 3-0 as is the current trend. They do have more map wins than a certain team that we will
They
get to
do.
here shortly.
They definitely do.
But Falcons, I mean, at this point, it's just like it's kind of an embarrassment for the league. Like, I understand they're trying to grow and get better, but like they simply can't win a hard point. They
Mhm.
can sometimes fight back a little bit in search and win the occasional search, and then when they play Boston, one of the worst control teams, they can maybe find a way to slip out and get a win in a control. Very, very, very rarely. Uh,
Yeah.
they just, I mean, what they've lost in their last 5 matches, they have a 2 and, what was that, 2 and 15? Yeah, 2 and 15 map count.
Not great.
Yeah, not ideal. And their only control win came against Boston, and then they beat LAT in a search, which LAT like low key might have been trolling in that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, they have their hard point is 0-19, their S&D is 4-9, and their control is 2-11. Like S&D is the only mode that they even like you can watch and like think like, okay, maybe they could win.
Mhm.
Control is pretty far fetched, but yeah, they're just I mean, there's not much to say. They're pretty terrible. Awful.
Yep. Yeah, literally no win condition, really.
And I feel bad because the players get a lot of hate, and it's like they were thrown into a situation where they had never been pros before, and like you can definitely see like the players have some mechanical talent. It's just like they're thrown into just a super unfortunate situation where like
Mhm.
they're not ready for the pro league, and like I on the Scump watch party this weekend, they were talking about it, and it's like who even knows if these guys are pro level players? Like they didn't have to grind to like I mean they've been grinding obviously to like play challengers and stuff, but like they didn't have to like take the steps and like start placing well in challengers and then get their shot like a lot of other pros, like every other pro has to do. They were just kind of like handed a spot, and it was like who knows if they actually are like good enough to even have that spot.
Yeah.
So it's kinda like, yeah, they were just handed a spot and here they are. So it's unfortunate because I know the players are trying and like they are passionate and they are giving it their all, but it's just unfortunate that like I don't know, like they were put in an impossible situation. Granted, they were put in a great situation to, even have the chance to be able to do this without really having to like work for it, but it's an impossible situation for them.
Yep. It is, and hopefully, I'm sure they're gonna stick out this year with the rest of the team they have, and hopefully next year they can start. Maybe they'll go look into a different direction.
I mean, yeah, we talk about it every time, but like we know, or at least we think we know that they have like the most money in the league. So it's like if at any point, if there is a good crop of free agents out there, like they could easily make the best team in the league at any point because if they do have as much money as, it's a rumor that they have, like they could just throw a bag at whatever players they want and potentially make a god squad. Like, I mean, it's unfortunate they decided to go, like and give their guys a chance this offseason because like realistically, like with Scrap and Hydra both being available, they could
Mhm.
have built an incredible team. Like they basically could have just taken like Scrap Hydra Envoy and like Ghosty, I'm sure would have, remained on LAT because they probably wouldn't have given him up. But like they could have taken Scrap Hydra Envoy and just like found a fourth of the available free agents and made like an incredible team.
Yeah.
But here they are.
Yep.
Brock
Unfortunate, but
yeah,
it's reality.
yeah. And in 11th on the power rankings, Brock, we have uh your boys, the Los Angeles Gentlemates.
LAG.
Uh
LAG.
it
Same thing, really.
Yeah, I mean, Lunars, like showed me a little something, I suppose, this weekend. Like he didn't look like completely awful. It didn't translate to wins. They lost 3-0 to the Heretics and they lost 3-1 to the Surge. Um, somewhat competitive in that first hard point. Like we said, like Lunars, he was 20-20 in the first hard point. They just kind of um lose by about 50 there. They lose the search and destroy in another round 11. It just continues to be a trend for them. They just can't ice up in game fives or like late S&D situations in any map.
Mhm.
Um and they lose the control 3-1 to Miami, and then they lose to the new look Surge, who are apparently extremely good now with Neptune because that guy is we'll talk about him more, but that guy is unbelievable right now.
Mhm.
um, but yeah, LAG just not much has changed. Sounds like they're bringing Priesta into the lineup for Skies. I mean, Skies had a really rough series against the Vancouver Surge. I
Yep.
don't necessarily know that this fixes anything. To me, it's like you just need new players in this team. Like it sounds like Linz isn't really gonna be dropped. It's not like an option because Gotaga wants like the French player
Mhm.
on the team. So it sounds like he's not really an option to be dropped. And he has, at least in the kills department, been playing decently well, and Kismet has been overall pretty good on this season as well. I just feel like maybe neither Priesta or Skies are the answer, and there's maybe another AR they need to go pick up, or I don't know. I don't know what the solution is. Like there are good challengers players out there like a Huke, but he doesn't really fit the team because obviously they would have three, just primarily sub players. I just I'd have to look more into the best ARs available, but like I feel like the Priesta for Skies thing doesn't really move me. Like
Yeah.
him coming back in.
It's like, one for one. Doesn't move.
Yeah, it's like they mean they're still a team that like with Kismet, Linz, Skies, Lunars, like Lunars being pretty talented, like, or if it's Priesta in for Skies, they're still a team that like I feel like if they have like a good day. Like they forced a lot of game fives this year. Like they're still a team that like I feel like if they have a good day, like they can pull off. It's not like Falcons where Falcons can't beat anybody.
Yep.
Like if if the Gentlemates have a decent day, like I wouldn't be like completely shocked if they upset somebody. Like Kismet and Lens have been decent this year. Lunars look pretty good. Like Priest and Skies haven't been like completely horrible. They just haven't been able to like win any game fives or like clutch up at all. Like
Hmm.
just I'm not moved by them. They're just such a low ceiling team right now.
Yeah. And just go try to pick up if they do decide to make another move, which I'm sure they might. Go pick up the best player they had, the best player, best AR player.
Yeah, absolutely. It's what needs to happen. Um, Brock in 10th place, probably the lowest they've ever been in a power ranking and maybe ever will be. I mean, I shouldn't say that. If they lose to Falcons next week,
They're going lower.
they I still don't know if they can possibly go below Falcons, but just out of just pure just trolls, they might have to. I have
Yeah.
like on my other monitor on the side here, I just have like the team, like leaderboards pulled up, and I just think it's so funny looking over and seeing hard point win percentage. And you've got like your LATs in your phase who are 71, 67%, like really high. Everybody else is in like, 50, optics at 52%, everybody else is in the 40s, Boston's at like 60, and then just Falcons 0% hard point win percentage. Uh
Yep.
it's hilarious. But Optic is in 10th. This is probably, the lowest we're maybe ever going to have them or they ever have been because usually even in Optic struggles, like they're still at least, getting wins. But right now, these guys can't win a map. And they look completely out of like that's the only way to say it is like it continues to whether or not you agree or disagree with us, it continues to not be a talent issue, but a teamwork issue. They just look completely on different pages. Like
Hmm.
nothing, like everything looks, they go for a break and everything looks like extremely hard. Like it looks impossible for them to get a break. There's just no teamwork. There's no sync like on this team.
A lot of solo channeling too.
Yeah. Uh, and it's been the same conversation. I mean, I don't want to just like continue to talk about it. Like Kenny's been struggling. He's playing horrible right now. But like overall, shottzyy is not playing like himself. Dashy is not playing like himself. Pred is not playing like himself. Like nobody on this team is playing well.
Yeah.
It's not like oh my god, Kenny is just dropping just terrible series after terrible series, and his teammates are just going off, and he's costing. Kenny's playing awful right now. Like we've said that.
Yep.
I want to go over like some like we had like good discussions about like yeah Kenny's playing off right now. I trust him to pick it up. If you don't trust him to pick it up, that's fine. Like maybe he doesn't. You never know. Um, I trust him to pick it up just because he always has at least been a pretty good player. To even like a star level player in a lot of titles in the past. But who knows? Maybe Kenny doesn't pick it up. I've been saying for how long he's my favorite player. I trust him to. But there's a world where he doesn't. And we mentioned that last week. We both
Hmm.
believe he can, but there's a world where he doesn't. But I want to touch back on a comment because I
Let's hear
it
it.
happened like today or like yesterday or something, and it doesn't necessarily make any sense. So I will say like the people that have agreed with us, like mind you, like these former pros have more knowledge on the game and the ins and outs than us. But like I saw Crimsix talking about it today. I see Octane. I see Zuma. I see Enable. Like guys that are all-time greats. Enable, numerous wins. Zuma, numerous wins. Crimsix, the goat.
Yep.
Octane, numerous wins. Like these are guys that are all saying the same thing about this team is that they are just so out of sync and like all of them questioning basically what Pred is doing on the map. Like there are a lot of plays where he's just trying to hit a pinch and it's just not there. And like I don't think Pred is all of a sudden some brain dead bad player. I think he's getting used to, playing again. He hasn't played in a while. I still think Pred is an extremely good player. He is an extremely good player. He's not
Hmm.
playing well right now. Kenny's not playing well. shottzyy and Dashy aren't playing well. Like the whole team is not playing well. And that is just a fact. Like there is nobody on the team that is playing up to their standards. And even like let's look at their matches from this weekend. They lose to or sorry, just the one match this weekend, but they lose to Ravens and it looked like awful. Their hard point was terrible. They looked awful on that
Hmm.
map. Um, Everybody in the point sevens on the team except shottzyy, who had a 1.04 in that hard point. On the search and destroy, I mean, Kenny somewhat shot back, and even that's a little bit of a lie because we had Dashy 1 and 6, Pred 1 and 7, shottzyy 2 and 6, Kenny 6 and 6, but of those 6 kills, he had an ace. So like
Yeah.
the rest of it around that was, not all that great. They won one round. The Hacienda Control. they had a chance to win it in the last round, even though they were down in lives, and then they just kind of threw it away. Dashy and Kenny continued to struggle, and that shottzyy had a pretty nice series or a pretty nice map in the map 3, and overall he was the only one that like ended up having his numbers on the series look pretty good. Dashy really had a rough one. Kenny had a rough one. Like Dashy
Mhm.
or Pred and Kenny both of the 0.79, Dashy the 0.71. Um, but
Yeah.
anyways, this comment, like apparently we've fallen for Kenny propaganda. And he was talking about how Kenny is just like Arcitys from Vanguard, where they would just kept him around because he had won a ring the previous year or has 2 rings with those teammates. And it's like, yeah, winning multiple rings with teammates does tend to get you a little bit of a longer leash, as it should. And also, like, we're acting like Arcitys was just this completely horrible player. Like, was Vanguard Arcitys' best year? No, definitely not. Like, he wasn't, amazing in that title, but like, let's not act like FaZe wasn't making every damn final in that game. Like,
Mhm.
they weren't able to close out finals, absolutely true. And like, maybe you can make the argument that they should have dropped him. But they were making a finals at damn near every tournament. Like, they weren't able to close it out, but you're in every single finals. You can completely understand why they wouldn't have dropped him. It's like we trust this team to get over the hump, and you know what? At the end of the day, they just didn't.
Yep.
Got beat by Kenny, by the way, in the champs finals. Um,
Facts.
but then like he goes on to say, "It's funny how credit and blame work when Kenny is involved. When Optic won events last season, I saw masterclass performances and takeovers from shottzyy and Pred, but sure, Kenny gets the credit for winning Optic those events. Nobody is giving Kenny all the credit for that. I think
Yeah, that's
both of us
far
went
from
on
it.
yeah, I think both of us went on like long like rants about how like shottzyy was the best player in the game at champs last year. Like
Mhm.
nobody thinks that Kenny won Optic their major win or champs last year by himself. Nobody thinks that. Nobody thinks
Yeah.
Kenny has ever single-handedly won his team an event. Like, I mean, he did hard carry pretty damn hard in early World War II, but also accuracy and Chino were extremely good early in that game.
Yeah.
Uh, Probably still to this day, accuracy's best title. Chino was really good early in that game too. Um,
Mhm.
but, like, nobody thinks Kenny solo won this event. Kenny did have a big map one in that champs to set the tone where he went on a little run at the end of the game to really close it out, on that Karachi
Yep.
hardpoint at map one of champs. But, like, shottzyy was the best player in the game down the stretch at that champs. Like, he was the
Yep.
best player on their team. Pred was incredible. Dashy was incredible. Dashy, it
They're
was
all
like he had a little bit of a bad finals, but still, did his thing, won the maps. But, like, that's how you win champs. Everybody on your team has to be firing. Like,
Yep.
so, like, it's like people if you support Kenny and you think he can, get out of this slump because he's playing horrible right now. We've said it a million times. If you support him and you think he can get out of this slump, it's like you're just like a defender and you can't possibly see him do any wrong. And it's like, no, you and I have both actively been saying he's playing bad and maybe he doesn't get out of this slump, but we're gonna bet on that he does. And guess what? We can be wrong. Maybe he doesn't get out of this slump. Maybe he gets dropped. Like
Mhm.
you might be wrong, and that's okay. But like, I don't agree with this take that uh he can do no wrong in our eyes. That's just simply not true. That's why we've been actively saying that he's currently playing horribly. And I will keep saying, like, you can say like, oh, his team is losing and apparently it's like on the team. And then when he wins, it's all on him. No, when he wins, it's not all him. And when he loses, just like most times, when a team loses, most of the time it's not all on one player.
Yeah.
Even if the stats show that a player was really struggling, he was maybe being put in bad positions. Like sometimes, sure, can somebody do something so horrible that it may cost their team a map and that they end up losing? Sure, but like most times when a team is losing, especially in the way that Optic is losing, it is not on one player. And currently, it is not on one player. They are just not on the same page, and they look awful.
Yep. Not playing good. No teamwork. Just no nothing right now, and you can only hope it goes up. They get better from it.
I also want to say that like he also goes on to say this talk about Kenny having the most wins in the CDL era is a nothing burger. I mean, what? Like, apparently now having the most wins over the past, what, 6 years of Call of Duty, uh,
Mhm.
means nothing? Like, okay, and then he goes on to say, like, "Well, Priesta, had that before, and, like, look where he is now." Okay, yeah, Priesta, the last couple years, has not been doing very well, but from MW19 up until he won champs in MW2, that was a very good run for Priesta. I mean, in MW19, he was winning events with FaZe and always in contention. Into Cold War, where he wins a crazy event with Minnesota Rocker, and down the stretch, they were one of the top contenders at that champs, probably like the third or fourth team, in line to be a favorite at that Cold War champs. Into Vanguard, where he had a little bit of his, his struggles in Vanguard, maybe wasn't his best year, and then MW2, he wins champs. So like, yes, there was a very good stretch for 4 years there where Priesta was one of the winningest players, and it wasn't a mistake. Like he's a good player. Currently,
Hmm.
maybe Priesta is on the tail end and he's not as good anymore, but, like, you can't just discount what Priesta did in those first 4 years. He was an extremely valuable player.
Yeah, you can't just erase that from
Yeah,
from memory.
and, like, yeah, could this be, like, where Kenny is starting to, be on the tail end and maybe he's not as good anymore? Sure, like, that's certainly a possibility, but, like, we can't just ignore the fact that he has the most wins in the CDL era and say that means nothing. Like,
Yeah.
that definitely means something. Like, you know, Kenny has 2 rings in the CDL era. That means something. Like,
Hmm. You
that
can't
doesn't
discredit his
you
wins
can't
from
just
the
discredit
past.
because he's played bad for the first, whatever month or 2, however long, the game's been played. Like, you can't just discredit and be like, "Yeah, the 2 rings he has, the most wins he has means nothing." Like, that certainly means something. Like, he has a history of winning, and, like, there are plenty of players that don't have that history, so they don't get as long of a leash. Like,
Yeah.
Kenny sucks right now. Maybe he won't turn it around. I still think there's a good chance he does. Maybe he doesn't, but, like, that doesn't mean, like, because he's currently playing bad, we just have to be like, "Yeah, he sucks." Like, it's awful. He's terrible. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, Envoy was horrible for a long stretch last year. Like, he was so bad. Remember Envoy? He had like a streak of like 10 hard points in a row where he had a point 0.5.
Yeah, he's horrible for a whole stage, whole
Yeah.
major last year.
And
And now
guess
look
what?
at him this year. He's fine.
Yeah. And Envoy has years and years and years of being a good player and winning a ring. So it's like he gets a little bit of a longer leash because he has such a history of winning, and that he can get back to that. And guess what? They gave him that longer leash. And now look, this year he looks really good again. And even towards the tail end of last year, he looked really good again.
Hmm.
It's like, yes, it absolutely does matter. If you're a player who has no history of winning and no history of really being a good player and you start dropping a bunch of stinkers, like, yeah, you're gonna have a quicker leash. But like if you're a player who's a two-time world champ, winningest player in the CDL era, has consistently always been a pretty good player, like you're gonna get a longer leash. And also, I want to move on to the next team and just move on to our major predictions or our minor predictions. But uh, in that comment also, I was told that like, Kenny had a really bad MW2 season, which is true. Kenny MW2 is probably his worst game in a long time. Like he wasn't that good in that game, but I was also told he
Hmm.
was bad in Cold War in that comment. So I just went on breaking point quick, just really quick snapshot of the stats. Kenny had a 1.02 overall on the year, which for the role he plays, not too bad, especially because he had like a rotating revolving door of teammates. LAT, it was their first year in CDL, and they were making a change like every week.
Yeah.
They had Huke spelling his name wrong on a COVID test. So he had a revolving door of teammates. He had to switch from an SMG to being a main AR role change. He was
Yep.
fifth in Slayer rating in that season behind only a BZ, Cammy, who Cold War Cammy, Kleenex, and Vivid, who were all very good players in that game. He was fifth in Slayer rating in the entire league. Um, just behind those guys. He also was number 2 in hardpoint kills per 10 behind only Kleenex, and number 1 in hardpoint damage per 10. Number 1. Also number 5 in control damage per 10. So like this notion that Kenny just wasn't good in Cold War, absolutely false. Uh, I mean, his Slayer
Yes.
rating in that game, God, it takes so long to load these old stats, but his Slayer rating in that game, you know, was, let's see, he's, ahead of a ton of people here. Let me sort by this. So it shows him as fifth. I wonder why. Maybe it's not because active when I sort by like Afro and people are in there, but I'm assuming it's because they didn't play enough matches. But like guys that Kenny's ahead of, that's weird. When you sort it by the whole list, it puts him at eighth. But I'm thinking the guys ahead of him, like Hydra and those guys, Afro didn't play enough like matches to really
Hmm.
truly be considered. But like he's ahead of guys like Simp, Hook, Envoy, Dashy, Octane, Celium, shottzyy, Scump. Uh, Pretty damn good. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, I would say so. And like you said, one last thing, we seen Kenny, have these stages in the past where he is just horrible, and then they figure it out, and they're going to do better, good things.
Yeah, I think that this team, they have an unfortunate situation where I don't think they're. I personally don't think if Pred doesn't have to, be removed from the team for whatever he had to go handle. Uh, I don't think the team's in the situation right now because they have the whole year of practice and playing with each other. I don't think they're in the situation, but the reality is that's where they are right now. They
Yep.
suck. They're a terrible team. That's why they're 10th in the power rankings. And on paper, like they have all the talent in the world, and this is where they are in the power rankings. And like they need to figure it out. But I don't know. I would like to see them, stick it out and figure it out because I just don't know that there's any replacement out there that can really. I mean, like the one thing I've heard, like I guess illey because of his history, playing with at least Dashi and with shottzyy. Another guy, I mean, that makes sense is I guess if you truly want to move Pred to an AR and see if that helps, would be like bring back Huke, obviously.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, at this point, it's like Huke might deny it because it's like, God damn, like how many times are you gonna drop me and pick me back up?
Yeah. For
um,
real.
But yeah, it's like you don't have to be like so extreme on the take. Like just because we have faith in Kenny, like bringing it back, doesn't mean that he 100% is going to bring it back and be the great player we've seen him be. And it also doesn't mean it's a brain dead take. Like you're allowed to have the take that Kenny won't bring it back, but I think that eventually he will.
Hmm.
Like you're allowed, and I could be wrong. Who knows? I may end up by the end of the year, Kenny just has a horrible year overall, and I'm wrong. He's dropped. He's a free agent or something. Still think he probably is picked up if he gets dropped. Um,
Yeah, most likely.
but anyways, Brock, let's move on to number 9. This team is horrible right now too. Boston.
Yep. Boston.
These guys are the Snoopy show, and I mean they got to make a change at the AR. Cammy and Awakening in 2025 are not
It's
cutting it,
just this ain't Cold War. It's not it.
and I don't think you can win an event with Purge on your team. I think he is fine, and I think he can play a decent role, and I think he can win you certain maps. I just don't think he can put together a consistent weekend with enough slaying. In the respawns, especially when you have Cammy and Awakening not picking up their weight. Like Snoopy finally looks like he's really developing into the player we hoped he could be, but Cammy and Awakening, Cammy's maybe been slightly better than Awakening this year, but he also really hasn't been great. Like a change has got to be made there. Like an AR has to be picked up.
Yeah.
I would maybe make a two-person change with Purge to just like give this team more slaying, but like. I don't know. This team doesn't move me. They continue to just be a team that can win series and win matches, but overall, just like the floor is a little higher because like they're going to be good at S&D and like Purge is going to have his good maps and Awakening and Cammy are going to have their occasional good maps, but the ceiling is so low for this team.
Yeah. And we don't really know if they're plan on even making a change this year.
Yeah, the whole organizational situation is weird for this one because like we don't really know if like you said if their funding changes.
But if they are willing to make a change, I drop Purge for Hook in a minute.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, if they're willing to make a change, Hook should be on this roster immediately. Hook and Snoopy. It may look a little chaotic at times, but those two will run it down, and maybe they can just like make matches just weird with how fast those two could play together.
Yeah. And like you said, yeah, Cammy Awakening, not it. One of them or both need to go, and they just, move on from those two.
Yeah, it's like they're gonna like compete in series, and they're gonna. I mean, they got steamrolled by Cloud Nine on
Yeah, that
Sunday. They had a
wasn't
close
even a
series with
match.
Ultra, but yeah, they got. I mean, they got steamrolled. Like there wasn't a single close map in that series, in that 3-0. But yeah, they need to make a change here. Bring in Hook, bring in an AR, and just increase the ceiling of your team because like the way that this team is constructed, there is no chance that they can win an event.
Yep.
Number 8, Brock, we've got Miami. I certainly think you can argue, maybe Boston could be ahead of them just because like Miami isn't necessarily playing all that well right now either. But kind of a toss up for me. Like Miami, they obviously had a very good major. It hasn't been as good for them online here in
Yeah.
their last few matches in the split there, 1-2, I believe. Yeah, 1-2, and they lost to Rocker, beat the Gentlemates, and then lost to FaZe. Um, Continues to be their sub duo is pretty good. Real and Rencor, and then Metals and Lucky. A little bit
Hmm.
inconsistent, but like this team is competitive, and you know, obviously we saw them get a top 3 finish. I just don't think there's a world where I just see them beating the top teams still right now. Like I feel like they are a true like bottom middle of the pack team where it's
Yeah.
like they're going to be able to consistently beat your LAGs, your Falcons, your current optics, your Boston's maybe. Um, but like they're not going to really be able to beat the teams above them too much. They're just a decent middle of the pack team in my eyes.
Yep, agreed. Sure, they might take a map off, the top teams here and there, but not nothing like gonna beat them.
No, and they're just like they'll make things interesting. They'll pull off the occasional upset, but yeah, they settle into eighth.
Yeah,
Um,
this team's also just kind of stuck because with the only going for Spanish players.
Yeah, it's like they have very limited options of who they can pick up if that's the case. It kind of sucks
Yeah.
because it makes two teams in our league be basically like roster locked. Like Falcons are only picking up the Saudi players, and Heretics are only picking up Spanish speaking players. So it's like in a way, it's like it's a cool thing that they're doing. Like those players get a chance, but also in the same token, there it's like you're also like roster locking them and like limiting the amount of spots for like maybe deserving players because like oh they don't speak Spanish so they can't get on the roster but like they may be better than the players that they're picking up.
Yeah.
So I would be upset if I was a player, challengers that's just frying, but I'm roster locked off two of the teams that potentially could make changes because I can't speak the language or I'm not from that certain area.
hmm Just
um,
it's just tough sometimes.
yeah, Brock, the team that we have in 7 is a team that is certainly trending up. If this would have been done just a couple weeks ago, they would have been much lower than this. They are trending up. That's Cloud9 New
They
York.
are.
This team, I don't even have a
They're coming
problem.
around.
Yeah, I don't have a problem if you have them higher than this. Like, if you're looking at this and you think that's way too low, I can't argue with you. Like, I can completely see and will listen to an argument for why you'd have this team higher. Like we said, we believed in this team. Like, they looked horrible, and we continue to say that they looked horrible. We believed in them, um, and right now they're starting to pick it back up because the one guy, Sib, who was really struggling, is really starting to pick it up. Attach is starting to look better. He started to soak in the hill. Kremp and
Mhm.
Mac continue to be pretty solid this year. Like this team is looking a lot better. Granted, their wins are against Ultra, Vegas, and Boston. Like Ultra is struggling a little bit more, but still a solid team. And then their one loss is a Mat 5 to Surge, but they did 3-0 Boston, 3-0 Vegas, and 3-0 Ultra. Uh,
That is pretty good.
11-3 map count, the split, and they are looking a lot better. The reason that we probably have them, I guess, I would say lower than the next teams coming up is because, the other teams have shown a little bit more of a consistent and longer stretch of good play, but Cloud9 is certainly, continuing to move up the rankings. And if they have a good performance at the minor tournament this weekend, it certainly could bode well for their chances to keep moving up. But I think I want to say like their bracket is like annoyingly tough.
Yeah.
Their bracket is annoyingly tough at the minor because yeah, they get Rocker, who are a really solid team, and if they win, they get Thieves. So like it may not reflect this weekend of the improvements they've made because I mean, there's a world where Cloud9 get first rounded because Rocker are a good team.
Yep. They're like the
Um,
same to me, Rocker
yeah,
and Cloud9, roughly.
yeah, they're both really good teams that can kind of bottom out randomly and lose a match they shouldn't, but also can maybe win a match they shouldn't because they do have the talent. But they got a tough draw, having to play each other, and then the winner has to go to LA Thieves.
Not fun, but yeah.
Yeah, but a team that's certainly trending up. I like what they have going on here.
Yep. Yep. Agreed.
In the sixth spot, Brock, we've got the Toronto Ultra, a team I would say kind of on the downswing. Like they were before in the power rankings, more around like our 3-4 spot. Or our 4 spot is like before Optic had their drop off. Like the last time we did power rankings before the major, Optic, Phase, and LAT were in the top three. Obviously pre major one, and then
Mhm.
like Ultra were kind of in our 4 spot. They had been really good online. In this split, they are now 2-2. Still look very good, and I mean, like their losses, they have their loss to Phase, and who's their other loss to again? I forget. Or sorry, they lost to
Thieves.
Thieves, not Phase, and then they lost to Cloud9, who has been looking a lot better, and then they have a win over Carolina and Boston. Um, Kleenex has been struggling a little bit in this split.
Yep.
Joe was frying the other day. I still trust this team. Like once again, I do think they're a higher floor team, and I think they'll figure it out. They're just struggling a little bit as opposed to where they were at in stage one.
Mhm. Good. I think this team will do just fine.
Yeah, Kleenex, I trust him to figure out. He does go through stretches a lot of times in years though where consistency kind of falls off, and that seems to be what's happening with Kleenex right now.
Yeah, it's just so random. Like have like one good week and then one bad week and then go back and forth.
And he's like pulling out an AR at times, which is weird to me. I don't feel like he should be doing that, but you kind of
Yeah,
want to because
for
his crazy pace he plays that you kind of just want that always running around the map.
yeah, like you said, for how fast he actually plays and with and using AR, it just doesn't go well.
Yeah, Agreed. Then at our 5 spot, Brock, we are going to put the Carolina Royal Ravens. Once again, could have them higher. Not a problem if you have them higher. They did struggle a little bit to start the split, which is, I guess, why maybe we decided to go with them not in like the 3 or the 4 spot.
Mhm.
They had losses to once again though their losses to start the split, Ultra and Thieves. So like they lost to 2 good teams. Like
Mhm.
you could argue that, Ultra are better than them. You can certainly make that argument. And Thieves are definitely better than them. And then, they 3 0'd a Minnesota Rocker team in pretty convincing fashion, who is a good team. And then they 3 0'd Optic, which seems like it should be impressive. But with how Optic is right now, I truly don't know if that's impressive at all.
Yeah. A
But
win's a win though against
yeah,
Optic.
Vivid continues to kind of struggle in the stats department. Gwyn looks amazing online. Teach looked really good against Optic. Slasher continues to have a revitalizing year for him. And this Carolina Royal Ravens team, they're very good. They have a pretty high floor and a decently high ceiling, I would say. Like they can beat any team. It's just
Yep.
some of the hard point issues they may have to iron out against the top teams because they've been struggling in hard point and then they beat Optic, which is like the one team that's struggling even more in hard point than them.
Mhm.
I mean, obviously, and Falcons.
Yeah.
Brock in the 4 spot. We've got a team that we had a lot of faith in for a long time, and they're finally paying it off for us over the past, few weeks. That's the Minnesota Rocker.
Rocker,
They had the one random stinker
Carolina.
against Carolina, but other than that, they won their other 3 matches in what, a 9-1 map count?
Yep.
Because they got 3, yeah, they beat Miami 3-1, they 3-0'd Optic, and they 3-0'd Falcons, and they lost, 3-0 to Carolina. So, granted, they haven't beat amazing teams. Like, they're fine, Optic is horrible right now, and Falcons are horrible, so, like, they haven't beat amazing teams by any means. Um, but I don't know, like, I I still feel good about this team. Like, I think their ceiling is of these teams that we've mentioned between, like, maybe Ultra has a higher ceiling, but, like, right now, Minnesota, like, the way that they play ratty, but they also play with pace and, like, Estriel and Nero can take over series, Geo can take over series. Once again, Paul just is the X factor. Like, if Paul can play well, this team can beat anybody.
Mhm.
And I just feel like they can keep up in search and destroy with teams. I mean, what is their record in SD in the year? 15 and 10, 14 and 17 in hardpoint, and 9 and 8 in control. It's like they have the slaying uh, to be able to take out teams in a hardpoint. So like uh, they can upset teams, but once again, they're definitely a step below like our top two.
Yeah,
But this team has a lot of
definitely.
talent.
Yep. I would say so. Excited for them to, get on and hopefully, get better and maybe beat these top teams eventually.
Yeah. Um Number 3, Brock, I think it's probably pretty obvious. Everybody with the teams we have left, they shot up the power rankings. They were nowhere close to this. They were at the bottom, but now we're putting them at number 3 because of just how incredible they look
Surge.
right now. Yeah, the I was about to say Seattle, the Vancouver Surge. I'm never gonna get used to that.
Yeah.
Um,
Same here.
and this change is just, I mean, it's due to one man that has. I'm always,
Neptune,
like I said,
man.
always happy to admit when we're wrong. We were wrong. We were like, I don't know. I would have just picked up Huke. Hopefully he continues it because Neptune right now is unreal.
Just insane from what I thought he would be doing. Definitely not
Yeah.
that. Definitely not this.
I mean, you and I both knew and like everybody knew that Neptune has talent. Like certainly has talent.
Yeah.
But you know, it's been a struggle for him. Truly, when he's gotten on teams, he just hasn't performed to the level that he should be. But right now, he fried phase. We saw it, and then this weekend he fried the Gorilla Mates with a 1.31. The dude had 114 kills and 87 deaths. He had the most damage in the lobby, and like compared to his team, his teammates had 77, 87, and 86 kills. The dude had 114
A lot of more
over the
kills than his
over the
teammates.
course of 4 maps. In the map 1, he was 42 and 26, with almost a minute in the hill. In the map 2, running it down 9 and 10. Uh, in the map 3, 34 and 23. And in the map 4, 29 and 28. Neptune was on one in that match. Um, and then, the last match of their weekend. Wait, no, that was their only match, right? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Sorry. I was thinking
Yep.
of their second match from last week. Um, against Cloud9, where he also had a very good series, but that was kind of yeah, that was the one where 04 had a really good series as well, but Neptune had
Hmm.
110 kills in that one. I was thinking of that series for some reason, but Neptune unreal right now. Uh, and this team to me still has another gear they can hit. Like Abuza still isn't playing up to that level that I expect from him. Like 04 is going to be a little inconsistent. Nasty is going to be just a solid, 1.0.
Yep.
If Neptune can keep this up, this team is going to consistently be in, the top 6 for sure. And then maybe even top 4 conversations if they can have a good weekend. But we'll see if Neptune can keep it up. It's been 3 matches now where he looks this good. Dude is unreal.
Yep. Hopefully, he can keep it up and and especially keep it up on going to LAN and doing this stuff he's doing online.
Yeah. And then Brock, I'm pretty sure the last 2 are pretty self-explanatory. We got LA Thieves in the 2 spot, and then Atlanta
Yep.
FaZe in the 1 spot. And I like the way that the tier maker just puts Falcons in a row by themselves in the bottom there. It's fitting. But FaZe, LAT are playing incredible right now. I mean, their map count on the split is what 9-1. Yeah, and their 1 loss. Brock, do you remember what their 1 loss is?
Oh,
Their
the
1
one
map loss?
loss. LAT.
Yeah.
Why am I blanking?
It was to the Falcons in S&D.
That's right. That's right. they
That's
they
the that's
trolled.
They just trolled. Who even knows if they even tried that map? But they lost to the Falcons in SD. It's kind of funny that that's their 1 map loss. And then FaZe at number 1, right? You can make the argument FaZe, could be 2 because LAT just looks unreal. Hydra has been unlocked, which is what we thought. We kind of made that prediction. Like I think Hydra has yet to be unlocked, and if he does in stage 2, look out. Right now, I still think LAT are my team to watch. As of right now, I said it before the stage. I still have LAT. I think they're going to win Major 2. I said it before the stage started, post Major 1, and I still stand by that. I think LAT are going to win Major 2. It's my thought. Although FaZe have been the Major 2 Reapers for a few years now. I think they won it like multiple years in a row.
Yeah.
But I have a feeling that LAT is going to win Major 2. You could certainly put them ahead right now, but it's like FaZe is on. They won EWC, they won Minor 1, they won Major 1. Like, they're on such a run right now. I have a hard time just removing them.
Yeah. From the number 1 spot.
Even though Neptune kind of globetrotted on them, like they're Atlanta face, like they're just that they just win.
Yeah. They just get the finals, and sometimes it doesn't always end up in their way, but usually get the finals and win.
Absolutely, Brock. So switching the screen over here to the minor bracket. Let's jump into this. That's how we're gonna wrap up this episode
Let's
today.
do
Is
it.
with the minor bracket. We'll let you make your predictions first. It's an interesting bracket the way it shakes out because it feels like you may be bound for a Neptune versus FaZe rematch. Optic, they've been given on a silver platter. They've been handed their best chance to get a series win on the board. It's easily the worst team in the league. They get a good chance to get a hard point victory. It will be the memes will be hilarious if Optic can't win a hard point.
That will be.
Uh, Falcons are 0-19. They're going for 0-20, and if Optic loses to them, I'd like. Could you imagine a world where Optic like Neslos them or something for the win? They lose
that
2 hard points. That would be hilarious.
that'd be actually be gold.
Or like, could you imagine a world where Optic, finally wins their hard points, but they get Nesloed or something? It would be funny.
It
But
would
anyways,
be.
we'll let you go first. Starting at the top of the bracket, Boston Breach versus the Vancouver Surge.
The Breach versus Surge. I have the Surge winning 3-1.
Yeah, I feel like
I
that's
think
fair.
Boston takes the Surge, and Vancouver is just better in respawn. Unless
Yeah,
2B unless 2B just goes crazy.
yeah, it's gonna have to be a Snoopy Legacy series. I agree. Brahak, here it is. Optic versus the Falcons. Remember, everybody, for this. This is not a major tournament. If you guys are, just tuning in for the first time to this format, it's a minor tournament. It's online. The top 3 teams get like a little bit of CDL points, and then the winning team gets some cash. It's single elimination, just kind of like a fun little, mid split tournament here. And it's the last minor tournament on the schedule as of now. They don't have one scheduled for Major 3 or Major 4, but I think they had like said in the past they could add them potentially. They just don't have them scheduled currently.
Yeah. Oh man, Optic versus Falcons. I'm still picking Optic at the end of the day versus 0-19 Hardpoint Falcons team. I'm picking Optic 3-0 still.
Yeah, it's just like they have to win one at some point, right? Like I saw our boy, shout out to our boy, maybe like the longest commenting listener we have, PD, the man. I hope I see a comment on here. I love when PD comments because you know what? He'll drop like a long comment. He'll drop something that's like I don't care if I agree with it, if I disagree with it, if I think it's the best thing ever posted, if I don't agree with it at all. Like I love when people get down in the comments and you know really like hash out their thoughts. Like I want to hear it. I want to hear exactly what you're thinking because you know what? Maybe you're going to change my mind. You're going to make a good point and be like, "Damn, you're right on that. I was wrong." Or maybe I'm going to be like, "Yeah, I still think that." Like I like my take, but I want to hear all your guys' takes because you know some people come in with unique takes and you know they end up being the right take. And I like to look back and be like, "Damn, look at that guy. He hit it." Or like I like to have friendly banter. Like when we were told
Hmm.
that we were brain dead for having Breach go out top 8 and they ended up going out top 12. I like having the friendly banter with people like that.
Yep.
Shout out to PD, but I saw him posting on Twitter that like the last time Optic had a shoe-in match that everybody thought they would win, guess what happened? And he is right. The last time Optic had a shoe-in match, that was against Boston in Major Four, like when they couldn't win last year.
Yep.
And Boston hadn't won a series in months, and then Optic ended up losing to them. That was funny. Shout out to him for posting that. It didn't. I don't think it had like a bunch of likes. It should have because it was a good post. Um, but he posted that, and I will say this is a little different. Like the Falcons are like Boston was awful last year, but the Falcons are like it has to be different, right, Brock? Like
Like
the
you
Falcons
would
are
you would
like
think so.
yeah, like Boston was awful last year, like historically bad, but like Falcons literally haven't won a series, haven't come close to winning a series. They're 0-19 in hardpoint. I have to believe that the Falcons are like 10,000 times worse than even Boston was last year because Boston at least had like players that were like serviceable, like Priesta was on their team.
That
Snoopy, who we
beans.
see is pretty good. They had Beans for a while. They had Slasher for a bit. They had like players that are serviceable players.
Yeah,
Uh, so I gotta believe that they were at least better. I mean, they were horrible, but I gotta believe they're better than the current Falcons. But I mean, my God, can you imagine the scenes if Falcons wins this?
that would be incredible for the Falcon side, but Optic even more down bad than we
Yeah,
thought.
yeah. Brock, the next one, probably in my opinion, the match of the first round. Would you agree? Minnesota and Cloud9.
Yep,
A really good team is going home top 12 here.
they sure are, and it's single elimination.
Yep.
Man, for me, this game has a game 5 written all over it. Just who I want, who's gonna, I think is gonna clutch up, and I think the Rocket are gonna clutch up and win the game 5.
Yeah, I don't even I still don't know what way I'm gonna pick this. I don't feel confident either way. I think you could absolutely be right, but I think you could absolutely be wrong. Like this is a really impossible series to predict.
Yep. And then
Uh,
the Heretics versus Gorilla Mates.
yeah. What do you think there?
Where Priesthood coming in for Skies most likely. It doesn't really change anything. I think I'm gonna go game 5. Miami pulls it out.
All right. I like it. And that sets up some intriguing matches in the second round. We've got Atlanta FaZe versus the Vancouver Surge. Last time we saw these teams play, it was Neptune's debut back into the CDL, and he fried them. And Vancouver got the win. So maybe an upset here.
No, it is the minor tournament. I think FaZe win 3-1. Send Vancouver home.
FaZe win 3-1. Send Vancouver home. All right. Yeah, fair. But I mean, you got to mention it because Neptune did globetrot on them last time they played.
But if he does it again, well, man, he's going places.
Yeah. Toronto versus Optic Brock. Does Optic have the magic in them? They're going to get the practice in this week and find a way to take out a Toronto team that's been struggling a little bit compared to where they were, but I mean, still a very good team and certainly the favorite in the series.
Yeah. No. I think Optic they win their Vegas Falcons match, get a little bit of momentum, and then Toronto Ultra come in and win 3-1 off the back of Joe Deceives.
Yeah. Okay. So that leaves us with the bottom where we got LAT and Minnesota. This is an intriguing match to me. Like Minnesota, we said, like LA Thieves, certainly the better team, certainly the favorite, but Minnesota, they have upset potential.
Yes, they do. If all their players are playing, firing on all cylinders. But I think the Thieves are just too strong at this point to the Rocker. I think the Thieves are going 3-1.
Yeah, probably fair.
Unless maybe they're all dropping 1.1s, and Paul's having a great series as well.
Yeah. And then this bottom part of the bracket, Brock, interesting. Carolina or Miami cracking into the top four here.
I got Royal Ravens, got them winning in a game 5 because I'm feeling like T jumping here.
I love it. That leaves us with, a pretty standard, I would say, top four. I mean, you got our top two teams, Ultra, certainly, in the mix for the top four, and then Carolina also in the mix for the top four, probably with like the likes of like Vancouver. I would say like that, like top six mix is like obviously FaZe and LAT are at the top, but then like the other teams kind of fighting for it. I would say like Ultra, Vancouver, Minnesota, Carolina in whatever order are like our
Hmm.
top six. And you got like Cloud9 also kind of right in that mix, and then maybe Miami kind of knocking. Then after that, like you got like Optic and LAG and Boston and the Falcons all kind of on the bottom.
Yeah. All
Were
right.
you leaning on that Phase Ultra match?
I got FaZe. I just think they're gonna out best Ultra 3-1. FaZe is still this
Yeah.
top tier.
And you think that leads us to the collision course of the red teams, LAT?
Yep, I think LAT does win this because like you said, two best teams right now, and I don't see them slowing down anytime soon. And I also have a 3-1.
Okay. And that leaves us with the Atlanta Phase versus LAT matchup again. The rematch of the Major One finals, where we obviously know that Atlanta Phase came out victorious in a last map or round 11. I hope we get that again. They did switch
Hmm.
the format in this one, right? The finals is best of seven now,
Yes.
where
Yep.
previously it had just been a best of five.
Yep. That's good that they changed it to best 7 because more matches.
Yeah, they
Love it.
still need to take the second damn control out and change it to a hard point in these best of sevens, though.
Yeah, control is snooze.
Yeah, take out the control and add in another hard point. Should
Yep.
be three hard
So
points, three searches, and a control.
yep, agreed. Finals, LA Thieves phase. I think this is also gonna go to another game 7 because these two teams are just that close. But I think Thieves take it out this time. Hydra's playing a lot but better what we've known him for. So
Yeah,
I think the Thieves win it 4-3.
I hope you're right at least on the game seven. Love to see another game seven.
Yep.
Um, all right, I like it. Just gonna clear it out. Do mine quick or approaching like an hour here. Been a long episode. We're long winded on the power rankings. I was ranting, but
Warranted ranting.
yeah. I think honestly, Brock might be a little boring here. I might be pretty similar to you, and I think this bracket does have like a pretty chalk feel to it, though. Like the way that it's set up. Like I'm going 3-1 Vancouver over Boston. You picked them to win over Boston as well, but like they're clearly a better team to me right now. I have a hard time picking Boston. I'm picking Optic 3-0 over Falcons as well. I mean, I don't maybe Optic somehow loses match. They can't beat anybody right now, but like I gotta believe like even if Optic has terrible teamwork again and they just like really suck, like it's shottzyy, Pred, Dashy, and Kenny. Like they have to be able to beat the Falcons, right? Like
You gotta
even off
think.
just like pure out talenting them, like they have to. Like I don't even know what I'm gonna say if they can't beat them. It's gonna be unreal, but I have to pick them over the Falcons. And then this one is the toss up. I love Rocker. I've had faith in them all year. Cloud9 hasn't looked nearly as good, but they've started to look better lately. I'm going to agree with you and say the Rocker do win this in a 3-2. But like once again, this is definitely the least confident I am in a series in the first round.
Yeah.
And like there's a realistic world where like maybe if one of these two teams were like going on to play like Carolina or Toronto in the second round, there was a world where like picking this could like destroy your whole bracket because like they could make a run to top four then. But since they play LAT, I assume the winner probably gets shut down, but you never know.
Yeah.
And then I'm actually gonna switch it up here. I'm gonna take LAG in a game five. I think they finally are gonna have some game five ice and they're gonna take out Miami. Like I don't think Miami is unbeatable at all at this point. And LAG just keeps forcing map fives. Lunars looks pretty good. Priesta coming back in. Like I don't know. I think maybe with Priesta and Lunars, the pace is gonna pick up a little bit and they'll be able to match Miami's pace and just like they'll find a way to win a 3-2. I mean, they've been so close to winning so many series. I think finally they close one out.
I like it. You gotta think one's gonna fall your way. Your way.
Yeah, and like they're not playing like a Minnesota or a Cloud9 who are playing well right now. They're playing a Miami team who is, hasn't looked amazing since the major. Granted, like Super had a sub in for a match or whatever. Like Miami are definitely the favorites in this, but I don't know. I'm picking an upset for LAG.
I like it.
Uh, I am gonna have FaZe taking out Vancouver. I think it's gonna go to a map 5. I think this is gonna be a. I don't know why I have a feeling that this is gonna be a banger. I think Neptune is gonna come to play again. I think Vancouver is gonna come to play, and I think it's gonna end up being a really good series. And FaZe just beat him in a game 5. I so badly want to pick Optic over Toronto, just and be like they're gonna figure it out, like phase it at the first minor, like. But FaZe had more practice time. There was like that extra week, with
Yeah.
the holidays and stuff, where they had more time to practice, and also like I don't know, Optic just looks so broken right now. It's hard to believe that like over the course of a week they could just like figure it out. Um,
Mm,
I'm gonna say that like Optic's gonna win a map. I have no idea what it is. I'll give them a map, and then I say Toronto, beats them 3-1 here.
I like
I
it.
got I got LAT in a 3-1 over Minnesota. I could see Minnesota forcing a map 5, but I just think LAT is going to win. And I think a map 5 was LAT's nightmare, actually, to be honest. Like, I would favor LAT has been pretty bad overall in search
Yep.
so far this year. Like, I'm probably favoring Minnesota in a situation where it comes down to S&D. So, like, a map 5 is LAT's worst nightmare. Like, you want to close this out in 4 through 3 respawns, or maybe you do win map 2, but like, this year in search, Minnesota's 15-10. LAT is 10-13. Like they haven't been like awful, awful, but like Minnesota's been the better search team, so it could get a little scary if it does go to a map 5 for
Hmm.
LAT.
Yep.
Um,
I like it.
then I think LAG, their little mini tiny 1-win Cinderella run is over, and I think they get 3-0'd by Carolina because we've seen a lot
Yeah.
of 3-0s lately.
Yeah. But according to you, they got one. They got
Yeah,
one.
they got one, which is, I mean, unfortunately for them, actually literally means nothing because they don't get any CDL points for getting
Yeah.
a top 8. But hey, you know what? It is momentum at least. Like they're able to get one on the board. Maybe they can build off that.
Yep. Agreed.
Um, I'm gonna agree with you too. I got FaZe winning. I think they're actually gonna 3-0 Ultra like they did this past or not this. I keep why do I keep thinking they 3-0? That was LAT that 3-0. For some reason in my head,
Yep.
FaZe 3-0 Ultra, but LAT 3-0 them. I think FaZe are gonna 3-0 Ultra though. I think they could be. Like, I'm thinking like a 250 to 220, a 6-4, and a 3-2. I think it's a close map set. Like all the maps are close, but I think FaZe wins all of them. And I actually, oddly enough, think the same thing down on the other side, except I think it's like a 250 to 150 hard point, kind of a blowout in the hard point. I think Thieves win. Actually, no, I'm going to give Carolina a map. I do think Carolina will win the search. I think Thieves beat them in 3 respawns. I think they blow them out in both hard points. Controls may be close, but Thieves have just outclassed Carolina at every step of the way in the respawns when they played this year. I
Yep.
think that continues. And I'm going to agree with you. I want to go map 5, so I'm going to pick it. I think LA Thieves finds a way to ice up in a final S&D. The story of the last finals at the major was the fact that LAT just could not win a search. Because what was it? FaZe won 3 searches in a control.
Yeah.
Uh, and LAT won 2 hard points in a control in that finals. LAT just couldn't win a single search. I do think it's still going to be respawn heavy. I think LAT are going to win like a hard like they're gonna win 3 respawns. I don't know if it's 2 controls or 2 hard points, but I think LAT are gonna win 2 respawns, or 3 respawns, sorry, and then the last map. So I think
Yep.
FaZe are still gonna get 2 of the 3 S&Ds, but I think LAT are gonna win the last one and then close it out 4-3. We both
Hmm.
have LAT winning and funny in the same top 4, but I feel like a lot of people are gonna have that top 4.
Yeah. Probably most likely, but who knows? Yeah. It is a minor one elimination.
It would be a lot more interesting, like, if that Rocker Cloud9 match, like I said, got moved to the Toronto or the Carolina spot, but like everybody's probably going to pick FaZe and LAT to make it into the top 4. Carolina has a relatively easy like match they have to play to get into top 4 between either Miami or LAG, and then like same with Ultra. Like they play either the worst team in the league, the Falcons, or like the horrible state of Optic right now. So like the bracket seems pretty straight up. Like there definitely could be an upset. Like if you were to say an upset comes from somewhere, where do you think it comes from? Into the top 4, I should say.
Um. I think top side.
Like Vancouver, maybe over FaZe, are you thinking?
I mean, is Optic really upset if they beat Toronto?
It has to be because of how bad they look right now.
I mean, I do see where I do see where Optic get double momentum and get that win, and then they could, who knows, maybe make a run because
Yeah,
happened in the past.
it's like the same thing we said with FaZe in Minor One. FaZe looked atrocious leading up to minor one, but it's like at the end of the day, it's still Simp, Abizi, Cell, and Draza. Like one random clutch in a hard point to win could like snowball random S&D win. That's basically what it was. Simp 1v4, and then from that on, FaZe just like flipped a switch.
Yeah,
Simp, because it was who were they playing? Was it Miami where they lost map one in the minor?
I believe. Yeah, I think it was Miami.
Yeah, I think they lost map one in the minor to Miami, and then like they got like destroyed. And then like the S&D Simp was in like a 1v4, he clutched it, and they just like flipped a switch and they basically haven't lost since.
Yeah,
I don't think that's gonna happen with Optic because they look so bad right now. But like at the end of the day, it still is shottzyy, Pred, Kenny, and Dashy. Like they could just flip a switch at any point. I doubt it happens, but you never know.
yeah,
I do think they're probably the most likely to make a run because like they should ideally have a freebie, and then like if that gives them momentum, maybe they're able to take out Ultra, who don't look amazing right now. But the other one I would say is probably like Miami or LAGs, as weird as that sounds, just because like Carolina isn't like a super strong second round team. So like the path is just easier there.
yeah. Hmm.
But I think that's gonna do it for this one, Brock, unless you got anything else.
Uh, no, not much. Just, excited to watch the minor. Excited to see what happens.
Yeah. I agree. It's gonna be a fun one. I'm really excited to see what happens. Hopefully we have another banger final, like we did at Major One.
Yep.
If you guys enjoy this one, be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube. Definitely drop the comments down below. We want to hear your thoughts on everything. I want to hear your power rankings. I want to mainly hear for the comments in this one. I want to hear your predictions for the bracket. I want to know who you guys have winning. Do you have any upsets happening? Who is your winner of the tournament? I want to hear that stuff down below. Um, Thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you next week after the minor tournament, and we'll probably be spending the whole episode talking about that. So thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you in the next one.